So picture this. 100,000 screaming people at the Rose Bowl. The California sun is, just beating down, and an entire nation's hopes are resting on one guy's right foot. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the 1994 World Cup.
Yeah, and we've got a really fascinating stack of sources for this. We're looking at FIFA archives, U.S. soccer reports, and even some sports medicine journals.
Right, because the mission today is to really unpack this tournament. It crowned a ruthlessly pragmatic Brazilian team, ignited the modern era of American soccer, and completely broke the heart of an Italian icon.
The 1994 final is just the perfect crucible. I mean, on one side you have Brazil seeking a historic fourth title, and on the other you have Italy, who, frankly, were only in that final because of one man.
Roberto Baggio, the divine ponytail. He was an absolute genius on the ball and famously a devout Buddhist.
Right.
And according to his autobiography, before he even left for the tournament, his spiritual master eerily predicted his fate would be decided at the very last minute.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it all comes down to a penalty shootout. Baresi and Massaro have already missed for Italy. And then Baggio steps out.
And he knows the Brazilian keeper, Taffarel, always dives. So he decides to aim straight down the middle. Which, I mean, makes sense,
Totally.
But inexplicably, the ball just sails 3 meters over the crossbar. He later said he felt himself dying inside. So you have to ask, what goes wrong in that split second?
Well, the Malta Medical Journal actually applied something called reinvestment theory to this specific miss.
Oh, right, where under immense pressure, athletes experience, paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. Their attention shifts from an external target, like the net, to the internal mechanics of the action.
I see.
So Baggio entered this physiological threat state where his perception of the demands just totally outweighed his perceived ability to cope.
Which causes increased vascular resistance and elevated blood pressure.
Yeah, meaning restricted blood flow leads to stiff, rigid muscles that completely destroys the fine motor coordination required to keep a shot under the crossbar.
The brain basically de-chunks the learned skill. It takes a fluid, automatic, single motion and breaks it back down into clumsy, separate steps.
It's like suddenly overthinking how to tie your shoes. You've done it 10,000 times, but the second you stop and consciously think about what the loops are doing, your hands just freeze up.
That's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
And what's tragically ironic here is that Baggio became the eternal scapegoat, even though his teammates missed first.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But if you look at the team hoisting the trophy, Brazil was essentially the polar opposite of Italy's reliance on one superstar's individual genius.
They really were. This squad was led by Captain Dunga, and it was built on robotic, tactical discipline.
And defensive solidity, which actively removed that crushing individual pressure from the equation.
Yeah.
But they were heavily criticized leading up to the tournament, though.
Oh, yeah, even Pelé complained about the loss of their famous flair, the Jogo Bonito.
Right. The beautiful game was basically replaced by pragmatism.
Yeah.
Dunga's approach was a massive shift for Brazilian soccer culture. They prioritized structure over spontaneity.
And while it alienated some purists who wanted the samba dancing Brazil of the past, that collective discipline definitely silenced the critics by grinding out a championship.
For sure. But while Brazil was grinding out that win, something massive was happening on the host nation's soil. USA 94 still holds the record as the most attended World Cup in history, with 3.6 million spectators.
But honestly, looking at the history, soccer didn't explode in America just because of the matches themselves. Wasn't it just bureaucracy?
Well, FIFA mandated the creation of a sustainable domestic league as a strict condition for the U.S. hosting the Cup.
Right.
That paperwork requirement is actually what birthed Major League Soccer in 1996.
Wait, so it wasn't the spectacle of the games at all?
I mean, the bureaucracy laid the structural foundation, sure, but paperwork doesn't create passion. You can't ignore the sheer visibility of the tournament.
Oh, like the U.S. Soccer Impact Reports. They highlight an 11-year-old kid named Chris Wondolowski.
Yes, exactly. He watched Brazil practice through a hole in a fence.
Yeah.
He saw the final. He felt the gravity of those penalties and just became permanently hooked.
And he grew up to be an MLS Hall of Famer.
Right. The spectacle is what expanded player pathways and completely changed the trajectory of the sport for an entire generation of kids like him.
So the 1994 World Cup was a masterclass in tactical discipline and legacy building, but it also serves as a stark reminder of the weight of pressure.
It really does. Which leaves us with a final thought from those medical journals for you to mull over. They suggest a psychological framework called Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy, or REBT.
Hey, what does that involve?
The idea is to train athletes to view winning not as a life or death absolute, but simply as a preference.
Interesting.
So if Vajra had looked at that net and thought, I would prefer to score instead of I must not fail, would that ball have hit the back of the net?
Wow.
Yeah. Can you retrain your own brain to view your highest pressure moments, the times when everyone is watching you, simply as challenges rather than threats?